tripwire this thing. Come over and cover me.
There are intruders on the excavation dock! It's the prisoners! Get them!
From the moment he sauntered onto the Tantive 4, Darth Vader became a cinematic icon overnight. Charged with hunting down and eliminating the remnants of the Jedi Order, Vader was a towering armored monster who carried an unwavering devotion to his evil master until a fateful encounter with his son would eventually lead him away from the dark side of the Force. With the launch of the Star Wars prequel trilogy as well as mountains of books, comics, and video games, a larger, more multi-dimensional picture of the Dark Lord of the Sith would emerge, painting him as a tragic figure whose evil was born out of manipulation and misguidance. Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series, is one of many media tie-ins that makes an attempt to dig deeper into the character and uncover his personal motivations. Originally developed for the Oculus VR headset, this episodic Star Wars adventure makes its way to the PlayStation VR. It's another immersive VR experience from ILM X Lab that has lots of cool factor, but also a few hitches in its get-along. Penned by filmmaker David S. Goyer, Vader Immortal is set in the catch-all gap that exists between Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith and Episode 4 A New Hope. After successfully nabbing a shipment of spice from the Hutts, the two-person crew of the Windfall, made up with yourself as a faceless protagonist and actress Maya Rudolph as the droid ZO-E3, the journey home is interrupted by an Interdictor-class Star Destroyer that pulls the ship out of light speed. Hanging low over the volcanic planet of Mustafar, the Windfall is escorted to a hangar situated underneath Vader's castle, which was briefly featured in the film Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Sent to be interrogated by the big man himself, Darth Vader gives you an artifact to open as a test. As to be expected, the artifact reacts to the player's touch and reveals a small crystal key of some unknown origin and use. Vader and his near-cyborg crony leave you locked inside an interrogation room where a captive Mustafarian begs you to escape and prevent the Sith Lord from seeking out his prize. Across 3 20-ish minute episodes, you'll perform all sorts of Star Wars-themed VR chicanery, like climbing ladders and cliff faces, interact with computer terminals, and use a lightsaber to fend off Imperial forces. The gameplay is simple, but effective. With Lucasfilm money backing up the project, you can expect some pretty moderate production values both in environments and gameplay. Like the asteroid the crew of the Millennium Falcon used to hide from Imperial pursuit, parts of this game are not entirely stable. Too often did I run into situations where I'd inexplicably find myself stuck inside a wall or structure with no way to get out. This was strange, considering that movement is locked to teleportation, where you point to a spot on the ground and press a button to jump ahead. The circumstances of getting caught in the environment like that always followed instances where my VR headset suddenly goes dark, displaying an icon of a character with a ring around its feet that held an arrow pointing around in a different direction. There's no explanation for what this icon means or what you're supposed to do with it. Was it an out of bounds indicator? I don't think so, given that I didn't move from my spot during play. When the graphic would go away, that's when I would find myself looking ahead from the inside of a solid stone object, and the only way to fix it was to close the software and restart it. This only happened once in the first episode, but far more often in the other episodes, much to my great annoyance. Each episode brings with it different levels of VR interactivity. Although you'll pick up a lightsaber fairly quickly, the first episode has you doing a bit of grunt work as you splice terminals with a Hydra spanner, opening up panels to replace some circuitry to bypass locked doors, and climb your fair share of ladders and rocky outcrops. The second and third episodes get you more intimately involved with the art of Star Wars combat as you use the lightsaber to block blaster bolts and perform melee attacks while developing an affinity with the Force to move objects from one area to another before developing more aggressive attack-focused abilities. The story devotes some time to using these different gameplay mechanics in a few major set pieces, but the best way to really see what you're capable of is through the lightsaber dojos. There are 3 different versions of the dojo that feature an escalation of activities. Initially, your rudimentary lightsaber skills are tested against remotes that fire laser bolts that can be deflected back at their user. By the time you've reached the 3rd episode, however, the child safety locks are removed, letting you glimpse the full power of the Force. Where you were once limited in your means to take down enemies, you'll be using your lightsaber and the Force in tandem, doing fun things like pulling a creature to you and slicing it in half with the energy blade, pulling a stormtrooper's blaster out of their hands and shooting them with it, and unleash unlimited power with limited Force lightning attacks. These combat exercises are timed and measure proficiency through how quickly you can defeat all targets in a single round. Penalties are given if you fail to deflect an attack, which, if missed 3 times, ends the challenge. The trick is to see how far you can go, moving up the ranks as challenges grow more and more difficult with each passing round. Every so often, the dojo will throw in an Unleashed mode that gives you a large number of aggressive foes to deal with. The later iterations of the dojo, and by that I'm really referring to the one in the final episode, are absolutely awesome. Even though you're fighting robots and troopers and squishy aliens, the thrill of wielding a lightsaber against them feels so very good. It's also a fantastic workout that will leave you sweaty and a little out of breath. Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series, is a virtual reality experience that sheds further light on the character of Darth Vader, who, ever since he was humanized as Anakin Skywalker, has been transformed into this tragic, sand-hating anti-hero who has initiated numerous schemes to overthrow Emperor Palpatine. Darth Vader's activities on Mustafar lends the character some further pathos as he seeks a life-giving power, but if you didn't already feel bad for the man after his fiery mutilation at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi, then this isn't going to move the needle for you. What Vader Immortal excels at is showcasing really good Star Wars VR content, of which there has been far too little of outside of Battlefront's Rogue One VR mission and the upcoming Star Wars Squadrons. The dojo sequences are worth the price of admission because they offer pure gameplay using a VR control setup that is so immersive and fun that it makes you feel cool as you cut down droids and toss training remotes at unlucky stormtroopers. Darkstation gives Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series for the PlayStation VR, 4.5 stars.